Hi, everyone.
Hey,
I'm Alicia,
and I'm Meredith.
and this is Summer is Fun, a summer house podcast. We made it to the end of season 6. It's the second reunion.
Final
We've
one.
done it. I think overall the season was good. It was full of drama, kept me
Agreed.
captivated. I want another season. I want everyone to come back for the next season. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Agree. I really agree with that. Normally I'm like, I kind of feel like it would be fun to shake things up, but I think we're like at such a new point with this cast that there's still more to learn about some of the cast members and explore and the
There's still drama.
storylines. Yeah, like even the like existing cast members, they're all like starting new things. Lindsay and Carl starting a new relationship. Amina and Kyle now married. Paige in her relationship, Sierra not hopefully doing anything with Austin, maybe finding someone new, and then like other cast members who are so fresh and new.
Exactly. Okay, so before we get into it, check us out on the A&M Podcast Network. We have this podcast, we have It's About the Pasta, a Vanderpump Rules podcast, and we have One Season Wonders, the show where Meredith and I watch a show that only had one season and talk about it. Also, please be sure to rate, review, subscribe. We have no new reviews. We have one new rating. But we also have a note from Tracy that says, always give 5 stars and leave constructive criticism if needed, unless somebody is swearing or threatening me or something big where they should not have a job. Otherwise, 5 stars every time.
Thanks, Tracy. We appreciate
Tracy,
that.
you're the best. Okay. I lost my place. Oh, okay. Here. Follow us on Instagram at Vanderpasta. Join our Patreon, patreon.com/Vanderpasta. Let me tell you what you can get. For $1 a month, you get access to all of our pre-shows where Meredith and I just catch up and talk about whatever. And you get access to any episodes we record early, which is about to happen. Okay. The live shows are ending. We're going to go back and watch old seasons. We're going to do at least 2 a week. They're all going to be on Patreon before they get released to the real world. If you want the episode sooner, go there.
Yeah. And I think we're going to be doing season 2 and 3 over the summer here. So we're going to like bang it out.
Ooh, summer house over the summer. For $2 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, you'll get access to our after shows that we do when we go back and watch old seasons so that we can do those spoiler free. But the after show, we can give you all the Bravo news we want to talk about. Also, we'll say your name on the podcast. So thank you to Chris, Danae, Dustin, Jackie, Casey, Kimberly, Cameron, Tiffany, Tracy, Gina, Jennifer, Kelsey, Mariah, and Sarah. Woo-hoo. I did it fast this time. I was ready. I practiced.
Alicia's been saying there all day, memorizing names.
It's literally all I've done. No, but then for $5 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, you get the ability to give us your thoughts on live seasons. And you know what? When live seasons aren't around, we're going to think of other really fun ways to get our $5 patrons involved. I don't know how. I don't know when. I don't know why, but we're going to do it. We keep saying that, and we're finally going to do it. We're actually making moves in our career of podcasters. We're getting there. Also, I'll pick a patron of the episode. Listen, I know I did this once. I want to pick you all. So instead, what I'm going to do something really special. I'm going to shout out because like so many people for different ways. Okay. So I'm going to start I'm going to give you all a quick shout out. Tracy, that was so nice what you said about the 5 stars and leaving us reviews. You're literally the best. You've been with us for a long time. I'm going to shout out Tiffany because she always messages us and says really great things and always like, she just seems like a real person that actually wants to talk to us, which is like so nice. Cameron, you were always leaving comments about the season. Literally so fun. Kimberly, you've been around a few months now and we haven't heard too much from you, but I think we hear from you on Instagram. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I've seen your Instagram here and there. So thank you for following us too. Casey's new. Welcome, Casey. We're so excited to have you. We got Jackie, the
OG of OGs, the Jackie of the episode.
We got Dustin. And you know what's great about Dustin is he made Summer House podcast koozies. Woo! Summer is fun. And we're going to promote it and we're going to tell you all about it. Meredith is holding hers now. They're literally so cool. We've told Dustin that people are interested and he's going to make an Etsy store, as I think he should. And Meredith, describe the kind of koozie you're holding right now, because I think the back is so fucking cool.
I got multiple, so I'll just describe my favorite one, which I'm using right now. The front is our Summer is Fun logo that you see on the podcast every time, and then the back, because it's a tall, like skinny can koozie, the back has a tweet that Alicia once posted, which says, "This piece of paper belongs in the Smithsonian," and it is Lindsay's timeline that she gave to Stravy summer of 2020. I mean, that's like I keep staring at it rather than drinking my drink, and it's so magnificent. My mom literally asked if Dustin put the blow up swan on there, and I was like, "No, Mom, that's in our logo. Like, this is everything."
Your mom obviously doesn't listen.
No, she doesn't.
But they're literally so cool. I'm so excited to grab mine, and I swear I'm gonna buy everyone I know this, just for like A, free advertising, but B, like they're so funny. And if you're a Summer House fan, that tweet literally hilarious. I want to read it every day of my life.
We'll put a poll up.
Picture.
Well, that too. We'll put a picture up, and we'll put a poll to see if everybody's interested in them. So that way, if just one person wants one, we can coordinate that. But I feel like it's going to be a hot ticket item.
I feel like Dustin should create a whole Etsy store.
I mean,
100%.
At this rate,
amazing.
It really should.
So amazing. Okay. Also, Danae's always been super sweet. She's been a part of the podcast for a really long time, and she's super big on Instagram. She's always given me takes I didn't even know. She's informing me on things I didn't even know. She's fantastic. And then we have Chris for being Meredith's dad.
He listens to every pre-show.
Chris is like,
he's dedicated to
be like, I don't
to
like
the pre-shows. He does not listen to the actual episodes, but I think it's his way to like find out about my life, which is kind of sweet and weird all at the same time.
One day he's gonna listen and be like, I don't like that friend of yours, Alicia. She's a little sassy for me. Okay. That's everything. Meredith and I are mixing it up. I got a hefty glass of wine.
Oh my God, I love that. I have a mango high noon, and I have a reserve still in the 4-pack box.
Oh, I love high noon.
Yeah, it's great. It fits perfect in my skinny can koozie.
Do you think a lover boy would fit perfect in the skinny can koozie?
Absolutely. They just don't. I don't think they sell them in Missouri yet.
They're always out of Target, so I don't know what the fuck Kyle's doing, but we talk about it. Okay, so let's get into it. So previously on the Summer House reunion, Amanda and Kyle, we talked about them getting married and talked about Carl and Lindsay dating. Andrea also gets a lot of women, but now he's with Lexi. Paige called the house a brothel. Carl stood up for Lindsay. It caused a lot of controversy. I'm already drunk. My God. Lindsay's just doing Lindsay. We all decide we hate Austin. Sierra hates Lindsay because of Austin. Paige is all uncomfortable because she's on the side of the couch with people who don't like her. Paige feels like Danielle and Lindsay are hard to approach. Sierra threw a wine glass at Danielle because she felt disregarded. And Sierra didn't reach out to Danielle after she threw the wine glass, and Danielle has a lot of hatred towards Sierra, and that's right where we pick up is the wine glass conversation. So basically, Danielle wishes there was some sort of reach out on Sierra's part. And Maya has told Danielle that Sierra does have a lot of remorse about the situation, but Danielle really wishes she heard it from Sierra. And this is when we find out Sierra didn't even know she threw a wine glass.
Nobody really did. Like, it seems like everybody thought it was just wine was like chucked and the glass was held on to.
She apologized for the wine, but then watching it in the trailer, you clearly can see the wine glass being thrown at Danielle. So that I understand it more where Danielle wanted an apology for the wine glass, because that's like a different thing than just
and when you see it, like you do see she like threw the wine out of her glass and held onto the glass and then threw the glass. So like they were separate actions.
Yeah. But Sierra does apologize now. she just felt like people were running around the house talking, saying Lindsay slept with Austin. So this is where we get the first bit of unseen footage where Lindsay says she slept naked in a bed with Austin. And then Kyle tells Amanda and Maya tells Sierra. So then Sierra explains that she really liked Austin, so she was really hurt by this, and that's why she was so pissed at dinner. And this is when Lindsay quickly says that she did not hook up with Austin in Montauk, and then that's when Kyle chimes in and says that the whole house heard they slept together. And Danielle's like, yeah, because you told them that.
Yeah.
Like
you're the one who
Kyle.
did that, which I do kind of understand how Kyle makes the jump from like, we slept in bed naked together to like, okay, something had to happen.
Yes, until we see the next batch of unseen footage where Lindsay says,
yes,
we didn't hook up. I would have, but Austin fell right asleep. So that means they were gonna hook up, but they actually didn't. But instead, Kyle just goes, they slept together naked, which then obviously it sounds like they hooked up. Before we saw the second batch of unseen footage, I was like, they totally hooked up. What is she talking about?
Yes. And I appreciate the editors like doing it that way, because it leads you on the way that probably all the girls went through, because they didn't hear it like what Lindsay actually said from her mouth, because Kyle didn't put the context part of it of we didn't hook up though.
Kyle just like stopped listening after we slept together naked. He's like,
that's enough.
It. So then Amanda tries to stick up for Kyle and is like, oh, so because Kyle spread around, it's not true. And they're like, no, that part's true. But also he like didn't finish with like the final bit that really explains what happened.
He only gossiped the first half of this and not the whole thing. Yeah. And
obviously Sierra was still hurt by this, but I think Kyle is kind of the shit stirrer in this situation.
Oh, 1,000%.
Okay, so horrible. So then we talk about how this is the first conversation Sierra and Lindsay have had. I don't know if there's any moving forward. Lindsay doesn't know either. She understands she could have done things differently, but it shouldn't be on her. And then Lindsay claimed she had one conversation where she dismissed Sierra because she was hammered and her boobs were out. And listen, if someone's boobs are out, don't try and have a serious conversation with them. That should be like,
okay, at the end of their birthday party, don't have a serious conversation with them.
But if their boobs are out and they don't even seem to know, they're not going to care about your feelings. True. But then we see Lindsay, we had that other conversation that was aired, remember, where Sierra was like, what's going on with you and Austin? And Lindsay said nothing, but she was a little dismissive, but she was like, nothing's going on. I told you this. And then we see another conversation when Sierra's in bed. This was unseen and Lindsay's there and Sierra's like, so what's going on with you and Austin? And Lindsay again is like, oh my God, Sierra, nothing's happened.
This would be frustrating.
I get Sierra has tried multiple times and she's felt dismissed. But I also get Lindsay being frustrated of like, I've told you nothing is happening between us. We're not dating. We're not seeing each other.
Yeah. And I think this goes to like Lindsay and Sierra are speaking such different languages. And so when Sierra is asking, is there anything going on? I think her question also is including, what she's not saying it though, is there anything ever going to be going on with you guys? Like she wants all the information. Yes. And Lindsay's just like, oh, are we doing anything right now? Or have we done anything in the past? And so I feel like that's where Sierra was like getting hurt because she didn't see any of this coming.
She wanted to know if Lindsay was texting Austin. She wanted to know if Lindsay was texting Austin in Charleston. Lindsay took it as we're not dating. So no, nothing's going on with us.
Yes. Yep.
So I see both sides again. I don't think it's anyone's fault.
No. Again, it's like these girls are close enough, but not close enough to ever actually have a real conversation about their feelings and what's going on in this situation. But
Lindsay, feels like Sierra hasn't taken any accountability for how mean her speech was at the Italian dinner.
It is not funny, but I just like watching it back again. I'm like, Can you
Also,
imagine telling someone that they have to get, I think, did she say her prey,
victims.
her victims alone in order to like do something? I'm like, oh my God, I imagine her as a spider.
I do too, like a Black Widow. Yeah, it was horrifying. And I totally understand that it is mean, but I understand Sierra was pissed at the like I get both sides. I still think Sierra ends up most wrong in the dinner situation.
Yeah. I didn't really think she needed to apologize for like this.
The speech, no, because she still probably means it, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, so Sierra does say she's sorry that she felt like she had to address Lindsay in a group setting to be heard. Her intention wasn't to tear Lindsay down, which
even
I
though
was
she
like,
did.
that's bullshit.
I was like, yeah, your intention fully was that. And I'm gonna be honest, I support it, but let's just be honest here.
Yeah, be honest about what your intention is. And then where was I? Oh, but Lindsay's unaware of how her actions make people feel. Sierra could have handled it better. She apologizes. They seem like civil. But then did Sierra give Austin the same level of heat that she gave Danielle and Lindsay? Why are you more upset with them than Austin? And she said no, she's equally upset with Austin. He got an earful a month later. And she waited a month because she didn't know what to say to him. And he knows he shouldn't have done that. And that's when Lindsay's like, is that when you went to go hook up with him?
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, girl.
Ooh, this is
Sierra,
yikes.
no. Yeah, straight up Sierra, no.
A lot of things here. I cannot believe she waited a month. I feel like my rage would just be so hot. I couldn't hold myself back.
Yeah, I understand the feelings. I understand like being in that situation and you want to hook up with them, but also don't hook up with him.
Oh my God, yeah.
Don't do it.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember how many true weekends, because it's hard because this season had a lot of episodes for even just one weekend. But she had to have gone while they were still filming, right? Or maybe right after the summer ended.
I think right after the summer ended.
And it sounds like she went to Charleston.
And went to probably see him, but she bitched him out.
I wonder if like her and Paige went down to Charleston.
I mean, I'm sure. And I'm sure Austin was like, come see me, baby. Hell yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Come see me, baby.
It looks so bad for Sierra. And she says she's not going to do it again. And I understand. But also I was like, oh, girl.
I know. That it sucks also to be outed. It's not like she said she did it. Like they're like, oh, was that when that happened? And she's like, yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
This makes me even more curious about like how they were at the Winter House truck, because the Winter House truck happened like a month after Kyle and Amanda got married.
Oh.
Did it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was October.
Yes. I'm like, let me go check my own timeline.
It would have been October and everyone was fine. Lindsay and Austin were definitely like doing really well as far as friends go. They were kind of walking around the line.
They hadn't had their friendship fall out yet with Austin's Watch What Happened Live.
Yes.
A week and a half later is when Austin went on Watch What Happens Live and roasted Lindsay.
But because they were so close, I don't know if
that Sierra was.
Yeah, I just don't know if like, how do I explain this? Like if Lindsay and Austin are cool, I don't know if Sierra and Austin are cool. You know what I mean? I don't know.
You know what? In your photos that the ones you posted, or I think you only posted like one with the cast, they are on opposite, Lindsay and Sierra on opposite ends.
Oh, I'm fucking sure. They're not friends.
Yeah, but Austin's not in that photo because he came later with
Paige
Craig.
And he was walking around with Lindsay and Luke taking pictures.
Gotcha.
But Sierra stayed by the main van.
Yeah, so slightly tense.
What a time. Okay, so what a time I lived through. I didn't even know it. Okay, so let's talk about Paige's relationship status, because she was hooking up with Andrea and now she's dating Craig, and there was Andrea and Craig juggling two hot guys. Craig couldn't be exclusive, and then Paige dumped Andrea, and then Craig invited her to Delaware, and then they became exclusive. Did Paige watch Southern Charm before? And Kyle dies laughing.
Good question, Andy. Good question.
Craig has been nothing but the worst on Southern Charm.
Oh my gosh.
So like, did she think it was cute? Especially the Naomi stuff.
Oh,
that was just a bad relationship.
Okay, at the beginning, like they were good though.
Once they moved in together and he didn't have a job, she's pissed.
Yeah, their fighting really reminds me of Kyle and Amanda.
Yeah, it was bad. It was to the point that I was like, I hate this.
Yep.
Like it's uncomfortable for me to watch. But she did watch it. But you know, people grow, people change. It's a TV show. We're all here for drama.
Yeah. She said she's not interested in that Craig, which I believe he's a somewhat different person. Because Andy did bring up him drunk at the reunion too. That's still bad. Craig.
Just bad, just awful. Okay, so was it hard for Andrea when Paige picked Craig over him? And Andrea and Paige both agree that it was just like a fun fling that they both needed to try out. It didn't work and they're happy for each other.
Yeah, it seems like their relationship didn't get as deep.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's fine. And now he's with Lexi. So let's get to the meat and potatoes. Let's talk about Kristen. Okay. So
we get a Kristen C on this reunion. We get a last initial.
Oh, I love it's Kristen Cavallari. Come sue us. So, Kristen says she never hooked up with Craig. Craig made it up to capitalize on her name.
I don't think he needs to.
I don't think A, he doesn't need to, and B, it probably wasn't worth upsetting Paige. And that's what they said.
If his show got canceled and Kristen was still on, I would think, yes, he's capitalizing on her name. But it's the opposite. Like Kristen doesn't have a show anymore. She's really not like out there as much. Like she just announced that podcast, but that's present day. So she hasn't done anything in like a year outside. Yeah. Like her business is successful, yes, but like in the media circus world.
Also, so I watched the Southern Charm reunions from the previous season today, and they do bring this up, right? And it's because Austin's ex Madison had a mini public thing with Jay Cutler for a hot second.
Yes.
So then it was also ironic that Austin and Craig were hanging out with Kristen. So Andy does ask, are you guys hooking up with Kristen? And they both say no. And they're like, she's just a friend, which also could have been it, right? He could have capitalized on Kristen's name and just been friends with her. He didn't like have to hook up with her. So he totally like Kristen has more to lose, I think, by hooking up with Craig than Craig has to say he wasn't hooking up with Kristen. So I think it happened.
I think it happened for sure because and the rationale that the group says is, why would Craig lie about something that would make Paige upset?
Yeah. Because he does say, he's like, yeah, of course. I did hook up with her.
There was not a camera in front of them. So that seemed like a very personal conversation that they were having when they were sitting in bed. And I still don't think Craig's used to the surveillance footage of everything.
Yeah.
So I think if he really wanted this to be something that would stick, he would have like sat in a common area and like had an actual cameraman in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it happened. Tis fine. I can't wait for Kristen Cavallari's podcast. No one cares anymore that they hooked up, but I love that we're still denying it. Kristen, what up?
I mean, you have to.
You gotta. You have more to lose. Okay. Did Craig ever apologize for calling Lindsay a loser?
The apologies that like, I don't think
needed.
Lindsay was expecting this, but like, come on, this is so dumb. Are we really going to go and hunt Craig down for an apology?
I don't think it's necessary.
So dumb.
Yeah. Okay. So Craig approached Lindsay, not with an apology, but he explained what happened. Yeah, it was just a big thing. I don't really care. But then we get on the subject of Lindsay supposedly knew a whole month before about the Kristen Cavallari thing before she told Paige. And Paige is mad because Lindsay exposed it for TV.
I don't think she's mad about the exposing it for TV. It's that she exposed it for
She
TV
waited.
and said, oh, I'm doing this because I'm being a good friend.
Yes.
And so that's what like Paige and Amanda say, like, this is something Lindsay often does. She'll hold on to something, expose it on TV, and then put this blanket over it of, I'm such a good friend for telling you. When it's like, well, if you were actually a good friend, you would have told me as soon as you found out.
Yeah. And apparently like Lindsay did the same thing when Kyle cheated on Amanda a few summers ago.
That is wild to find out.
But she told Kyle, and then Kyle told Amanda on camera, right?
Yes. But I think their whole thing is, you're like, she waited until his birthday weekend to have the most impact. Listen, she's being a good reality TV star. Like, I'm going to give that to her. She's waiting for optimal impact. Like Lindsay, if this is true, then it seems like Lindsay waited until Craig came. So it would like have a big blow up, make a good fight, great ratings. We get another season. Yay. But the whole thing is like, well, Lindsay, if you knew the Craig thing, and if you knew the Kyle thing a few years ago, like, you should have just brought it up the minute you found it out, if you are actually being a good friend.
Yeah, I agree. I wrote like, it's great TV. I love that Lindsay does do this.
Yes. I think they're saying drop the like, oh, I'm a good friend comment when you're doing it. Just do it.
I understand as a friend holding on to information. I don't think I would expose people like on camera if I was a real friend, but I have, like, when I've heard horrible things, kind of held back and said, like, how good of friends are we that I should or shouldn't bring this up?
Yeah.
Or like, how should I bring this up? Or I've even pulled one of those, like, I'm going to tell a friend that's closer to this person so they can bring it up.
Definitely. Yeah.
So
I think
I've done that.
It's always a tricky game being the messenger.
It's the TV plus then being like, I'm just being a good friend, and I get it. But man, is it good TV, and I don't want her to stop. I'm sorry.
No, I don't want her to stop.
At the expense of Paige and Amanda's dumbass relationship.
100%. I think it's you either get to be a good friend or a bomb ass reality TV star. So like, go with the bomb ass reality TV star.
I think Lindsay's a good friend of the people that are good friends to her, right? So like, she just shouldn't preface it with, I'm being a good friend. She
exactly. Like she would never do this to Danielle. She would tell Danielle off camera, and that's being a good friend. So like, just cut the crap and like go be an awesome reality TV star. We all know you are.
So then Paige then brings up, she's actually never gotten over that. And then there's like a bunch of yelling, but Carl brings up that time that Hannah and Paige thought that Lindsay and Luke hooked up because of a psychic in her DMs.
One of my favorite storylines of all time.
It was so dumb. It was so dumb, but like so
it was kind of like a murder mystery. Like we had to figure it out for everyone.
But the answer was no, like so obvious. And then Luke was even like, yeah, you brought that up on TV. And they're like, it's different because it was a psychic in our DM.
Well, Paige is like, okay, technically Hannah brought that up. So don't come for me. And I agree. Hannah is the one who did bring it up. And then to be honest, I do think this is kind of different because as soon as it was brought up, they asked Luke, they're like, did this happen? And he goes, no.
No, yeah, it's obviously different, but it was very funny that like that was brought up because I forgot about that.
Remembers everything, and like I love how he's just sitting there. No one's talking to him. He's not really part of this reunion, and then randomly he's like, "What about that time you said a psychic said I slept with Lindsay?"
He knows what happened to him. Okay, that ruined his fire that night. He's pissed.
100%.
So then Carl is asked about Lindsay's motives. And that's when Paige is like, oh my God, you're asking him? He's been against me the whole time.
Carl, you accidentally said Kyle.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. Carl is asked about Lindsay's motives. Paige gets mad because Carl's against her. And I was like, he's obviously not going to be against Lindsay though. Like you've got like, not every relationship is like Kyle and Amanda where they come for each other's throats, right? Like you got, and I think we've talked about this specifically on Vanderpump Rules, where it's like, have your significant others back in public and come forward as a unit, and then like behind doors you can come for them harder if needed.
It's tricky though because this entire season was filmed without them dating.
Yeah.
So in the moment they didn't ever get Carl's like these types of reactions. So then to get them after the fact when you're trying to resolve stuff, it is kind of challenging, and it is kind of like a mind switch because I bet like Paige doesn't hang out with Carl a lot.
Yeah, and Carl's got to go to bed with Lindsay. He's not going to be like,
yeah.
oh, I feel like Lindsay's motives were horrible.
But
Like,
I
no,
love
he's going to be like, Lindsay didn't have bad motives. I don't
my
think.
my favorite thing though is Carl being like, we don't have beef, and Maya just like whispering and them catching it, being like,
Seems
well, it
like
sure
it.
seems like it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think Carl has beef with anyone. If
I
we're
don't
gonna
think
be
so. I
honest.
think they have like, I'm gonna call it reunion beef. Like they're
Yeah,
the
like,
ones kind of going at each other, not really going at each other, but they're the ones commenting back to each other. So it feels like he's your opponent when you're talking about the Lindsay thing.
but yeah, I think Paige, it's a lot to say she has beef with Carl. I think
Agreed.
like Paige is offended that Carl's not having her back, but I'm not gonna expect someone to have my back over their significant other that they're probably
Definitely.
married.
Yeah, and I
Like,
don't think she expects that either.
Expectations, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, so Amanda says it seems like Lindsay takes advantages and inserts herself into people's relationships with the intent of being a good girl's girl, and she can't label it like that, especially because Lindsay had a sexy car ride with Andrea, and what girl would do that with another girl's man? Which we see the sexy car ride, and I didn't think it was that. I mean, like,
well, at first I'm like, the fuck is a sexy car ride?
I know.
And then we get the clip where Andrea is explaining what a sexy car ride was, and I was waiting for him to like kind
Make a
of role
move.
play without it getting like actually there, but just show like saying like, oh, I would touch you here. But we got nothing. I was like, wait a minute. So you're mad that they talked about what Andrea would do to a girl he really likes and he didn't do anything to Lindsay?
It was literally, this could have been us, because Andrea just said sexy car ride, and Lindsay goes, what's a sexy car ride?
Yeah.
That we both asked ourselves.
Yes.
So why are people mad that he then described what a sexy car ride was? And sure, Paige is going to get or not Paige, Lindsay's going to get a little hot because this hot man has an Italian accent. He's describing kissing you. Of course, even if you don't mean to, you're going to be like, woof.
Yeah, but
Andrea.
like they didn't touch each other.
No, it was even Lindsay was like, we got to stop because I'm getting hot and heavy up in the air.
I wouldn't say that was anything bad, but I will say the whole nipple kiss thing was bad.
Can I just say though? Yeah, okay. So we do see that Lindsay and Andrea licked each other's nipples. Good friends open nipples up.
It's
weird.
Don't know what it is with her. And like good on her. I'm not a physical touch person, so this like gives me hives. Just like
seeing it.
The fact that she does it gives me hives because I'm like, oh my God, it just so foreign to me. But like this is I don't even want to know how the context how we got here.
Yes, I think though in this situation, right? Lindsay wasn't like, hey Paige, I licked Andrea's nipple because I'm a good girl's girl, right? They just did it. So we should be equally mad at Lindsay and Andrea if like he's hooking up with Paige. But Lindsay and Andrea both are like, it was nothing, it meant nothing. And then it was like over. So I don't know if we're mad at just like I'm unsure what to do. No one's ever nipple licked someone I liked. So I'm not sure what to do in this conversation.
I don't know either. All I know is like Lindsay has different boundaries than I do. And I need to like get used to that. And like other people do too. Like not everything is so intimate to her that is to you.
Yeah. I completely agree. I have a friend that is okay with sitting on every dude's lap. She dated someone that's not okay with that one time. And they had to come to the realization that like she should tone it down, but he should get better with her boundaries.
Yeah.
Like out of respect for each other. So it happens. But then Lindsay asks if Amanda hates or Danielle asks if Amanda hates Lindsay too, because it sure seems like it. It's all. Okay, so then we take a break. And Paige is done with them. And that's when Amanda says that Carl works for her and Kyle. And he's a good friend, but he's tainted and manipulated by Lindsay.
Which like, woo, a lot of words flying off camera.
I didn't like that Amanda said he works for them. Like, I understand he does in a sense, but that's also your friend. So like, don't diminish them, you know?
But like in the setting you're in right now, he doesn't work for you. He is your equal on this show. So that's the whole point is don't make it into something that it isn't at the moment and don't talk down to him. Like that's just ridiculous.
Agreed. We also get Amanda or Danielle not having Amanda's shit. Luke is all sore. He's stretching. How is Kyle skinny when he drinks so much? And and they say, you know, with age, your cheeks sink in. And he's like, no, I have beautiful full cheeks. So we don't know. Okay. So now let's talk about my favorite couple and yours, Lindsay and Carl, because we saw it coming, but we also didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
So for everyone that wanted to know, Carl enters the house as a newbie to the Hamptons. Lindsay is dating Everett. They've been dating a long time. They're probably going to get married according to everyone else. And then you experience their relationship and you're like, probably not. But basically, Everett and Carl are friends. Carl tells Everett that Lindsay is hot and should lock it down. Then we get Carl flirting with Lindsay in front of Everett, and Lindsay's like kind of enjoying it. And then Carl called Lindsay his sister that he wants to have sex with, which is so romantic. And then they hook up, but because they finger bang, never forget. And
finger banged without kissing.
Without kissing, which is amazing. So then they like give it a go, but Lindsay has her timeline. She's trying to be a mother soon. And Carl's like, I'm scared of relationships because my family, I don't want to be in one. So they break up, but they become friends again. And then they become friends turned into lovers again, but in a better place. And when people said, did you ever see this coming? I say kind of, but no.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to capture it, is kind of no. It was really cool to see everything over the last few seasons, and it gets me excited to go back to the old ones that we're just about to record.
I can't wait for us to spoiler free be like, and then Carl says, you're my sister that I want to have sex with, and we're going to have to not be like, ugh.
And they're currently having sex right now.
Yeah, we have to hide it. Okay, but so they explain that the last weekend in the house, there was sparks, and then there was 3 weeks in between the last weekend of summer and Kyle and Amanda's wedding. So during those 3 weeks, they hung out almost every day. And then they had the wedding and they like admitted feelings and like, you know, it just kind of blossomed. And at the beginning, it was very high school. They were just cuddling, holding hands, but not Kyle. Kyle was having sex in high school in 2000 when I was 5.
No, in the 90s, I thought he said.
They showed a picture of him in 2000, and I was like, I was 5 when Kyle was having sex.
Oh my God, I really don't have words. I'm so stressed out.
So then Lindsay asked Carl if he can see himself with Lindsay, and he said yes, like for the long run. And so then that's when they hooked up. And then because they're together, Lindsay decided to stop drinking. She's been sober for 5 months, and it wasn't like pressured on her. Carl was struggling to get to his 1-year mark. So Lindsay said, you know what? I'm going to be your teammate in this. I'm going to be your supporter, and I'm also going to be sober. So they did it together to help Carl get to that point. And my whole heart just went, oh my God.
And I feel like just that alone shows how different this is than the first time they tried. Like, yeah, you look at that argument they had on that rooftop when they couldn't really talk about their feelings or their fears. And now it's like, we're a team. We are going to be sober together. I love that.
I think that shows, like, as childish as Lindsay might act sometimes, she really is an adult when it comes to things that matter. Right. Yes. So like Carl's sobriety is one of the few storylines on all reality TV that I think matters. Like, we have to care about this because it's someone's livelihood. And she saw that, and she, instead of being like, you got this, Carl, just be sober, or even being like, just take a drink, it's not going to hurt. She said, I'm going to do this with you to support you because I love you.
And best, I love it. In my opinion, is that she said, like, oh, I'm not going to be sober forever. That's just not, like, that's not my whole reasosoning to do this, is just to be sober with him. Because I think, if not that she can't not like be sober, but I feel like, you know, like, she is such a social being that, like, going out and having a drink with a friend is kind of like part of her, like, at her core. And she said it has changed the way she has a relationship with alcohol, which has been really positive. But I love that she's not really like doing things just because Carl's doing them, you know, like she can have a drink again, and she's not worried about Carl, but she's there to support him and be sober if he like needs that extra support, but can also like be in a relationship with him and have a drink too. I think like them being able to balance that is such, like you said, she is such an adult, and this is the clear-cut moment when she really does care about people. She'll put it all into them.
Yeah, this is a very adult relationship too.
Like that's so hard, I feel like, to take on in such a new relationship. And I think it's the basis of their friendship is really what's been able to help them sustain this in such a difficult time for Carl, it seems like, to reach that 1-year sobriety mark.
I agree. I love it. I root for this. I
Me
think it's a
too.
very healthy and adult, and I love it. But let's talk about their coupley social media posts. It feels like a PR campaign because they're always posting. But here's the thing: if I had hot professional photos with my hot boyfriend, I'd post them
Yes.
all too, probably. Because a lot of it is like, we are in this place promoting Loverboy. And
Yeah.
like, do I want to see just Carl? Sure. But would I love to see both of them? Yes.
That's the thing. They're not
Post it
with
together.
they're not really with other people to be like, oh, I'm gonna take a photo with like Danielle now because she's not
Yeah.
in Charleston with us selling Loverboy. It's me and
Yeah.
Carl and like maybe a few other people, but like I care about Carl.
Yeah, they said they're always together. It's fresh and new, so why not? And
Yeah.
Andy's like, you're giving the people what they want. And I was like, I want it. I like all their posts. So then we talk about how no one in the house likes the photos of them together. And Lindsay's like, oh, I didn't even notice. You guys not?
Well, some people are like, yeah, I do. And Amita's like, okay, I don't even see your posts. Like, I think the algorithm is so effed.
It's so fucking weird. I hate the Instagram algorithm. So I'll stand it with Amanda. Andrea, though, was always like, I always like them. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He was like sad.
I started to because Instagram gives you that option if you click on the Instagram logo on like the home that you can go back into
time mode. Did so many people complain about it?
Yes, that they started giving you that option, but you can't like change your settings in the home. You have to like hit that Instagram button. It'll give you a drop down and you can click following and then scroll through it.
Oh, thank fucking God.
And then you can like have your favorite people. So if you want that list, you can do that too. But it's really nice. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, all I'm seeing are like news accounts. I want to see something else. So like I'll go scroll through that instead.
Yeah. Oh, that's great to know. Everyone, I just learned something new. So then Danielle, she used to date Carl. They made out a few summers ago and there was a hand job in a cab, even though it was a light hand job, never forget. And it was over the pants. But how does Danielle feel about this relationship? And she says it was difficult. Like the most difficult part was that the three of them had this really strong friendship. It was the three amigos. And so to change, like that dynamic had to change, and she just was selfish and didn't want to change, which I don't think that's selfish. I think it's just all of us like love what we have if it's a good thing. And if that thing,
I think it is selfish, but not in a bad way. It's like
not in a bad way.
Love the life you're living and you love exactly how it's going to be. And I think there's kind of fear for her too of if this doesn't go wrong, it's hard a second time going back to like friendship mode. I think if Lindsay and Carl do not work out this time, I don't think they could ever be exactly what they used to be.
I think the first time they liked each other. This time I think they love each other. So that's where the difference is going to be.
Yes, like they are all in at this point.
Yeah. But I was like, I liked how Danielle said that, and Carl kind of looked at her and gave her like a cute little like, oh, face. And Danielle was kind of like, oh, and it was cute. And I do think the three of them are still friends and now they can double date.
Yeah. It helps that Danielle is in a relationship this time. Yes. Like last time she wasn't in a relationship.
Yes. But I understand being like, if the three of us go out, it's like couples, you know, like I get it, but I love it still. So are Carl and Lindsay going to move in together? They're living my dream. Date someone in the same building, but have your own space. Yeah, I would not want to move in, but they're looking, they're trying to figure out if they want to rent or buy, where to buy. And Amanda's like, buying a house? Before me, it's a bad time to buy a house.
It was kind of shocking to hear that they're already willing to buy a house together instead of just rent together.
I think they're both old enough though, where, you know, you hit an age where you want to own something, I think. Yeah. And I think that's where they're at, where they both want to own something. And I do think they'll both go into it with a prenup. So it won't be like a hard split if they do break up. But I think at this point, not only is their relationship on the line, but their friendship is, so the stakes are higher. So I think they're going to try to do everything to make it work, and they'll buy. But they said they might buy in the Hamptons and rent in New York, which that I was like,
well, I was like, what would you do with your Hamptons house? Are you not going to live with the group?
That's the summer house is what I thought. I was like, after this summer.
I ran through so many scenarios in my mind. They cannot afford a house with like 10 bedrooms though.
No. Everyone's in sleeping bags in the living room.
There's a tent outside.
They get the next door to the summer house.
That's the thing. Like, do you think that they would stay at their own house and then
I don't know.
come over and hang out with the crew? That
I
might
don't know.
help like
Oh
Carl's
God.
sobriety.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. This is exciting. I'm excited to see what happens. So, who's down for this couple? Everyone raises their hand. Amanda's just nervous with how fast they're moving. Sierra and Maya get called out for doing like a timid raise of their hand.
Oh my God. Andy is like on fire of calling this cast out for just the, like, subtle things. I know, but like
I thought the same thing.
I know, but he like called Paige out about her body language.
Yeah.
He is like going in on like the little things that I feel like don't normally get as brought up.
You can't act all suspicious and not be called out anymore.
I agree.
Andy's on
I agree.
you.
I'm just saying he is like really on it on this
it.
reunion.
Yeah. So Sierra and Maya don't have too many hesitations, but Sierra's just like, if Carl's happy, then I'm happy, which I love how she's like, only Carl can be happy.
God. I'm
if
like,
Lindsay's miserable.
I'm like, please don't be gasoline on another fire. Like, we don't need
I know. I'm happy Lindsay didn't respond. It shows her adultness.
Me too.
So then Paige was like, I don't really care as long as they're happy. I don't really care about this relationship. And I was like, and then Andy does say, your warmth is overwhelming. And Paige was just like, shut the fuck up, Andy. Her face was like, stop. Daggers. She didn't laugh. She didn't play it off. Yeah, she fucking, wow. So then they cut to a break and you hear Amanda say, if they buy a house before we do, you're dead to me, Kyle.
Well, because it sounds like because Kyle's the one who said it's not a good time to buy a house, which it kind of wasn't, because you're going to like pay way over asking. Yeah. But the house market is like cooling off a little bit. I read that today. But
you Googled, is it a good time?
No, I actually did see that in an article today, but I bet Kyle is using all of that as an excuse to not buy a house. And so Amanda's like, what the fuck? Other people are buying houses. Why aren't we buying a house?
I know, she just wants it. She wants marriage house kit. She's like traditional.
She wants the like, yard for the puppies, I bet.
I know. Okay, so next we have to get into the race conversation. And I cried during this. I'm gonna be so honest. I did.
Love that. I mean, I hate that, but I love like hearing about your emotions.
Yes. First, I want to preface, though I have been told I don't sound like it, I am
that's Guatemalan. So people
I know. We'll get into it. I got thoughts, but I am part Guatemalan. My grandparents are from Guatemala. My grandpa and grandma came here when they were about 16 to start a life. So my mom's first generation. So I do have thoughts about a lot of this. I think my background is very similar to that of Danielle's more than anyone. She's Puerto Rican, I believe. So I think we have similar thoughts on the race, but I can see all ends of it. And I'm so excited to talk about this. I've thought so long and hard about what I want to say, but let's get into what happens.
Yeah.
So, do you care if we do like a high level of what happens and then we can like get into it?
Yeah, shoot right through. I want to like give you the floor because I am not like, I'm just a white girl sitting here. But like, I want to give you the floor because I think what you've told some great stories. I have
questions for you too.
Oh, I love that. But you've told some great stories that like have opened my eyes. I feel like the way Kyle responded to this is like me responding to you in a lot of this. Of just,
oh my God, I'm so excited. You said that. We're gonna have such a good discussion. Okay. So basically we talk about that race conversation, right? Like Sierra and Maya opened the house up to what it's like being a Black woman in the Hamptons, and it was very positively received by the house guests.
And all over Twitter too. Andy at one point said like Twitter's for haters, and like everywhere. Twitter loved this.
So then we also hear that at the 4th of July party, there were some microaggressions that were given to the cast. So Alex was compared to Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan.
And people were shocked that he lived like with this group because he didn't look like it.
Yeah, they like asked him to get him a drink. So yeah, the cast can't believe that happened. But then Maya also shares that, you know, she got called Sierra, like it was cool that Sierra brought her sister to this party, which is also a microaggression, playing into like all Black people look the same, which is super offensive and racist. So on that, First, I want to say I've thought really long and hard about what I wanted to say because, as Sierra said, you want to be politically correct when you say things.
Definitely.
Because you can offend not only, white people, because if you go at them too hard, they do get defensive and then the conversation is pointless.
Yeah.
Yes. But you also don't want to offend people of color, which I think happened, and we'll talk about that. But you want to be very careful about what you say. That being said, when Alex shared his story about being called Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, and Maya shared her story about being called Sierra's sister, I looked at the cast. I watched it so many times, and Alex, Maya, Sierra, and Danielle showed no physical reaction to that. Everyone else was kind of like jaws dropped. We heard Kyle have like outrage towards it. They were all like, yeah, cool, it happens. And honestly, that's how I took it too, because the amount of microaggressions I received in my life are insane. Like, I'm sure I've shared it before. When sirens go off, I've been told that La Migra is coming to get me. I've been asked if I have a green card, like a ton of stuff. And the thing
is this by, if you don't mind me asking, is it by people like you're friends with? Are they trying to make jokes? Is it people you don't really know? Like, who is this coming from? Because it sounds like not that, because it can come, I feel like, from any different, but I'm curious about your stories. But Alex and Maya seem like people who didn't know them. So I was just curious if like people who do know you.
Yeah, it's never
better, I'll say.
It's never good friends. It's more of people that you like kind of know, you have a conversation with, and they think they're being funny and make a joke.
Gotcha.
So it's never someone you care about, and that's why it's kind of easy to dismiss.
Yeah.
So like they shrugged it off, right? Because if you respond in a way that's like, that's a microaggression, you're rude, like that's then you're told you can't take a joke, you're lame, you just get angry, and then you play into like, especially if you're Black, you play into that Black stereotype, which you don't want to do. So honestly, the safest bet a lot of the time is just to shrug it off and be like, no, it's cool, it's fine. Like, because even Alex said when he was explaining the Bruce Lee thing and Kyle got mad, Alex defended the guy and said, I think he meant it as a compliment. And I was like, oh my God, that is exactly what I would say. I would say, like, I'm sure they didn't mean it. It's fine. It's no worries. But then it kind of made me sad. Like, right, we have to rewire our brains as people of color to be like, that's not okay. Like,
to not only shrug it off, but then not tell your housemates, like, clearly it wasn't said to all the white housemates, or even to any of the house mates of
because it's not a big
I don't
deal.
want to make a thing deal of this.
Yeah, because then that was my other thing. When Kyle got mad, I was like, oh, Kyle's never dealt with a microaggression. And
like, you know what? What a privilege that Kyle gets and I get to be mad for you in a sense, because like nobody's gonna call me the angry white woman.
Exactly. And that's when I was like, white people are so important in the movement against discrimination and racism, because people listen to you, right? Let's just say Alex was called Bruce Lee and Kyle overheard it, because Kyle's not about to be like, Kyle, guess what someone said, right? Like, it has to be Kyle heard it. If Kyle said, dude, that is a microaggression, get out of my house, that dude would have left probably. But if Alex did it,
and not only would that dude have left, but think about the people who would have heard that and thought about it and then like potentially change their behavior too, like the ripple effect on it. It would have made TV and like that ripple effect. I'm getting chills right now.
Exactly. So like, everyone, it is important that you fight against discrimination, but like, white people are so important to use your voice. Like, you have so much power behind your voice, and it's such a privilege that like you have to use it. Like, be surprised, be Kyle, who is so surprised that this happens, and then speak out against it. Like it gave me chills to think that I wouldn't have said anything, and I totally would have shrugged it off. I would have stood up for them.
I follow Manuel Acho on Instagram, and he recently posted a video of an Uber driver who was a white male, and people got in and said, oh, like, can you speak English? And like, we're saying all these things to him, and he was like, get out of my car. Like, no, like, that is so racist. Stop. And like, in the caption, Emmanuel Acho said, I think it was in the caption, or he posted on his story like after the fact, but said like to not be racist is to not say anything racist, and to
Yeah.
be anti-racist is to speak up against it when you hear it.
Yes. You have so much power. And I know it's on us too, as people of color. Like, we have to be okay with speaking up against it, but it makes us nervous because it's turned around and then our feelings are completely diminished. Like, dude, it was a
Yes.
joke, no worries. And it's like, now I look bad. And a lot of the times when I would stand up and say like, that's racist, don't say that, everyone around me was white, so they wouldn't say anything. So then I felt like it was me versus this kid, and I'm not going to fight him on something stupid he said. So it was always just like, whatever. But oh my God, it gave me chills. I think this was almost hit me harder than the race conversation.
Yeah, I think this was really interesting. And even Kyle saying at one point, he was talking about how like we kind of mentioned this, that he like didn't know a lot of this stuff and he wished he would have known, and that just like this is so shocking to hear. And I'm so lucky that my company kind of in the wake of 2020 like really dug in deep and like cared about a lot of the social movements going on. And I joined a book club, and I've read a lot of different books on American experiences from all different cultures, and that's been like so enlightening. And I think something you have to stop doing is being shocked.
Yeah.
Like at some point, like why are like this happens every day to people of color. I don't experience this. So like, yeah, early on, this is shocking. But I mean, after 2 years of this, we're now in 2020, about to hit Memorial Day when George Floyd was murdered. Like we're 2 years into this. And if we're as white people still shocked, then like we haven't done enough work.
Yeah. And the funniest day I'll never forget is when I came home and I told my mom how I think someone asked if I had a green card, and I was still too young to really like, I guess it just never hit me like what a green card was. So I was like, what's a green card? And I told my parents what happened, and my mom wasn't shocked. And my dad was like, people think you have a green card? And I was like, and my mom's like, yes, of course they think that. And I was, because my dad's white. And so I was like, holy, there's something different in the way we were raised. It's so weird to see. And I think like showing, Maya, Saya, and Alex, like people of two different races and ethnicities have like similar experiences. It was just like bone chilling. So
yeah, and you see how it manifests differently for the different cultures too. Like it's so easy to make jokes out of it, or to assume that because Sierra and Maya are Black, that they're sisters, but like what you would never assume two white people are siblings.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy, but we'll get back to the sorry, that was my little rant. Thank you everyone for listening.
Alicia, it was not a rant.
Speak up.
It was wonderful.
Speak up. So then, we do talk about Andrea. He made a really big effort to make Maya feel included after this talk, which I appreciated.
What I think this shows is like he's being intentional. And so like if you make a mistake, mistakes happen, but like be intentional to start changing your behavior.
Yeah. And Maya even says it's nice to feel that way. And it feels nice for people to recognize you, especially when you felt invisible. So then we bring up how Danielle was quiet during the house meeting because she is also a person of color. And she says she related to what they were saying, but her experience is different because she's been going to the Hamptons a long time. So she's been in this environment and she's used to it.
Yeah.
And also it's not her place to speak on it because her experience is very different than the Black experience. And I totally agree. I have absolutely no right to speak on what Black people in any country go through because it is so different than what Latin people go through, if not even more extreme, I'll say. So like it's crazy, and I can sympathize with them as a person of color, but I can never fully understand what they go through. So I get why she also stayed quiet during this. She was most upset though, because Sierra, and this is where I will understand both points, but Sierra at the beach told Maya, it's hard being the only person of color in the house. Like
during her first season.
Yes.
It was really hard to be the only person of color.
Which Danielle was upset because she identifies as a person of color. And like I said earlier, I have heard from both sides. I've heard from Latin people that I'm not Latin enough. And I've heard from white people I'm not white, and I'm both. And
Man,
I have had trouble
the
identifying.
like middle zone. Yeah.
I know it's hard because I associate with both, and I have grown up more Americanized, which I think makes me more white, but I hang out with my Guatemalan family more. So I'm
and
like
like
around
visually,
that.
like people can look at you and just at any point say
I
you're
don't
not
look
white
white.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't look white. So I can completely sympathize with how Danielle's offended by this,
Yeah.
because I would
It's
be
like a
sad if
gut
someone
punch.
told me
It feels
that.
like
Yeah.
you're not accepted into a community you call your own.
Yeah. But I also understand Sierra of like, she may not, and I'm not saying it's right, but I'm also not saying it's wrong, right? She doesn't see Danielle as strong a minority as she is that kind of the right way to say it? Like obviously, like we said, the Black experience is very different than that of someone who's Latin or mixed like myself. But
well, Sierra said that when she was talking to Maya, she was talking about her Black experience in the Hamptons. And so I think that kind of goes back to like
I understand
when Sierra said that she does need to be so politically correct, because what she was trying to convey to Maya is not what the words she was using weren't exactly correct. So then it made Danielle feel left out. But I also see that like when Sierra maybe said like, oh, I'm the only person of color here, there may have been like context, I'll say, that also wasn't included. Not that they cut it out, but like what her intent is behind it is that I'm the only person of color in this house that doesn't fit into this world, because Danielle already self-proclaimed like, oh, I've been coming here for so long that I do feel comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I am fully comfortable around both Latin and white people because that's who I've grown up with. But like, I totally understand. So if I went to the Hamptons, I would probably fit in a lot easier than a Black woman because I'm comfortable around a white community, which is mainly the Hamptons. But I also understand where Sierra is coming from because, like I said, people of color are kind of held to a higher standard because you have two people or two groups of people you could offend by what you say. So you have to be so politically correct. So I totally am not like mad or like upset that Sierra misspoke, right? And she does apologize. She says like she's sorry for saying that, she didn't mean it like that. And Danielle, I think, fully accepts that because we understand.
Yeah, this conversation overall, both when they had it in the house and even here right now, is just so well laid out. It is so it just enables people to like lay their hearts out and actually have a really good discussion about it, about like what's going on.
So because I said I had a question for you, my question was, did you relate to Kyle and like everyone else in this situation? Were you like, oh my God, I can't believe that he said that? Like the Bruce Lee comment? Were you like in shock?
No and yes. Like I relate to, like, I've been in that moment where I'm like, oh my God, that's insane. My first roommate in Chicago is a Black woman, and it was an incredible roommate, loved living with her. We like randomly met on Facebook, and hearing her stories every day when she would come home from work about like the microaggressions she had at work was so shocking. Like I was Kyle when we lived together in, I think it was 2018, and like learned so much and was just like so floored that like anybody would touch her hair as she's at work.
Oh yeah, so weird.
So insane. I already said this earlier in the show that like I'm such a not a touch person that even alone like was so confusing to me. Like, why are we touching other people? So I feel like I went through that a lot. And then again, I feel like in the learnings I've really done some work over the last 2 years and like had those shock moments. But now I'm like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Like I can see that happening. Cool. So like, yes and no in a way.
Meredith, I love having you in my corner. You're the best. This made me so happy. Such a good combo, but it got really heavy for a second. I know. But now we're back. So Andy's shoe is untied. Carl offers to tie it for him. It's very cute. I love how that's the next thing we have to talk about. But okay, so also caught when we're on a break, Luke tells Maya that she could have told him if she wanted to date him, because remember they have chemistry from last episode.
Well, I kind of wonder if he was like, I wish you would have at least said you would date me. Like, it's kind of a diss. Like,
I love them both. Okay, Kyle and Amanda, hard relationship. Somehow engagement was the hardest. The whole thing's been rough, But really quick before we get into it, Amanda's hot dad.
Damn.
Super hot. Actually, mom was also hot. Makes a hot daughter like Amanda. Am I right? With those boobs? Not to objectify her, but she's very attractive.
I'm dead.
Okay, but Amanda's dad doesn't watch the show, so he doesn't know how shitty Kyle is. But Kyle's a little scared of him. So
I would be.
You should
he pumps
be.
the iron.
Okay, so should Amanda and Kyle have gotten married? Because Sierra was on Watch What Happens Live one time, and she was asked that if she was Amanda, would she have gone through with the wedding? And Sierra basically alluded to no. So then Sierra explains that if it was her, right? She doesn't know the situation. She just
she's not saying
summer.
Amanda shouldn't have gone through the wedding. She's saying I wouldn't have.
Kyle's tearing up because there were some zingers throughout the season. Okay. Paige was the one that hurt Kyle the most, and Kyle just wishes Paige had went to him instead of making it like a thing for cameras. And Paige says she trusts.
Did.
I don't think she did either. And listen, sir, like you cannot be that mad that a girlfriend is concerned about her girlfriend.
That's the thing. I'm like, and Paige stands up for herself and basically says she never told Amanda to leave him. That was not like the discussions. It was, you don't seem happy, and I want you to be happy when you're getting married.
Exactly. And
I think those are normal girlfriend chats.
It is. Or to even, what did she say? She was like, if you want to leave him, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because some people don't think it's okay, but you have one person in your corner now that's telling you it's okay.
I feel
that's important.
It would be really hard to call off a wedding just as a normal person. So then when you're filming a fucking TV show at the same time, can you imagine if Amanda decided to call off the wedding while they're filming Summer House?
That would have been such a sad moment. But yeah, like you need someone in your corner telling you it's okay.
Yeah.
Because you don't think it's okay. Even me being like, that's a sad moment. Amanda wouldn't have thought it'd be okay. So you need someone outside to tell you it's fine. Maya also says she checked in with Amanda. She just wanted to make sure, because Maya knows 5 years into an engagement and they break up, she knows things can happen and it's okay.
Yep.
Let's normalize ending engagement if they need to get ended. I'm not saying Kyle and Amanda need to be ended. I'm just saying if they do, it's okay.
Just because you get engaged does not mean you have to go through with a wedding.
Yes. Okay, so how does Kyle feel about Hannah's comment? Don't speak to me the way you speak to Amanda, after watching Kyle yell at Amanda and women. And Kyle says everything's wrong with Hannah, and it has nothing to do with Kyle speaking about women or to women, which Paige got a little itchy at that point.
I'm like, and of course Andy's like, well, that's a deflection.
Yeah, because Kyle says Hannah deflects, and then Andy's like, okay, same.
I think the way Kyle handles situations with a lot of people are not great. And so it would be great if he didn't talk to people that way. And I think what he said about Hannah is also true.
I agree. Everyone's a mess.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we talk about Amanda and Kyle's prenup. They don't have a prenup. Amanda was actually naive about what a prenup was because she didn't Google it. She actually had no idea what a prenup was.
I can't imagine, but I guess like I'm trying to think of like when all the Erica Jane stuff is going down too over in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because I feel like prenup talk has become so intense around that situation in the Bravo sphere.
Yeah, but I mean, my God, you gotta know like the essence of a prenup, right? And I
or
think
at least Google it. Like,
yeah, just Google it.
I don't like people speaking on topics if they don't know anything. Literally give it a Google and get the top highlights.
Know. And I understand Amanda had only known like a negative connotation. She says in the tabloids, which I was like, girl,
what? Because a millionaire who came in as a millionaire only has to give his wife, who is like 40 years younger than him, like $5 million. Like that's a lot of fucking money they're getting. I wouldn't say that's a negative thing.
Which Andy's like, it's not really negative if you have especially with a business involved, like it actually helps. Yeah. And then Amanda's too lazy to Google. She didn't do it. So then he asks, who wants a prenup? and all the women raise their hands.
I mean, beautiful. That's what we like to see.
Because they do have a stigma that like men have money and they keep their money so women don't get the money. But these women are like, we have money.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to give up our money, so we're going to make everyone sign a prenup, which
Hell
Carl
yeah.
eventually did raise his hand because I think Lindsay was like, I'm getting a prenup.
And he's like, so I guess we are getting a prenup.
So
for them. Good for them is all I want to say.
Good for these women. So will the marriage last? Hopefully.
Okay, he asked that to Maya, and it's like, what
an
unfair
I don't know them.
question. I've known them for like not even a year, but I like how she says it. She hopes for the best for them, and you know what? She really can't comment on a lot of people's relationships because she doesn't know the dynamic.
Exactly. And Kyle and Amanda seem happy. They're talking about having babies. Kyle's just always working, and Amanda doesn't want to have a partner who's a father to her children that is not around or involved.
I get that. Like, she wants Kyle to be present in their future kids' lives. I don't think waiting's a bad thing in this stance.
So is Kyle married to Amanda or the business? And Amanda quickly says his job. And she loves Kyle's work ethic because now they're building a future together. And then that's kind of it. Light as a feather, stiff as a boner. Am I right? I don't know how we got to that, but that was a big
Andy
quote.
just threw out light as a feather, as in like, I think the topic.
Oh, you look light as a feather.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's when Kyle said light as a feather, stiff as a boner.
Stiff, but yeah.
Stiff. Sorry, I'm drunk. Okay, so now Andy brings up that Paige has not turned to look at Lindsay or Carl once, and we've been here for 6 hours.
Oh my God.
Paige says, do we believe this? Paige says she's working on her posture. Oh, and that everyone on the other side of the room has been talking, so she hasn't needed to turn.
I will give her that. She doesn't need to like look down at like Andrea or Alex. But the posture really, like, she could have literally just said like, all right, we're not getting along the best, and like the rest of them don't have much to say, so I'm looking across the way.
Or, okay, listen, Lindsay and Carl are pretty close on that couch. So if she turns, she's right at Lindsay. So she's gonna open mouth
kiss Lindsay if she turns.
Well, real friends open mouth kiss each other. So, but Carl says there's definitely tension and he feels better after sharing, but he's not trying to come at Paige. He's just trying to defend Lindsay, but he apologizes to Paige and thanks everyone for, I don't know, being here.
For like sharing, for being like open-minded, basically.
And I just want to share how much slack Paige got because she says she appreciates the apology and she's putting everything out there this summer, but she doesn't apologize back. And even Andy kind of waits for it and nothing happens. And so we move on. But man, Twitter was like, is Paige not going to apologize?
This is just so awkward, but I do have to say this. She does a good job about being like a bad bitch.
She does.
Like, she puts it on. She is full on in it. 6 hours. She hasn't moved her head. Insane. The dedication.
She's the baddest bitch. But yeah, it is always awkward when you feel like it's a two-way street. So you're like, I'm sorry. And then the other person doesn't apologize. And you're like, okay.
Or even acknowledge. Like, it's not like she said like, oh yeah, it's been a really difficult day. We've all said some things. Like, no, didn't even like give an apology.
Nope. There's tension. Poor Carl. He's not trying to beef with it.
I feel bad because he's in the most difficult position.
I know, because he goes to bed with Lindsay and he's obviously going to support his partner. That's what two good partners do. But also he doesn't hate Paige.
No, it's like he's in a sense chained to the unfortunate drama that has like spewed out. He like didn't have to deal with it all summer, but now because of the relationship, it's like he's in it.
Yeah. Well, it's looking good because house relationships in the summer house are very successful, even though we only have one so far. Kyle and Amanda started dating before the Hamptons, so we don't know if it counts. But
wait, they say they have two.
But then we have Carl and Lindsay who met in the house, and Paige and Craig met at Kyle's toga party.
Yeah.
So we have one successful one so far that ended in marriage. Now the other two.
I cannot believe you are saying that Kyle and Amanda are the successful relationship.
I know.
We have one
fucking hate
married
it.
couple. Let's
We
not
have
deem
one
it as
married-
successful.
We have one marriage.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. So the reunion's over, and I was like, we have a lot of time left, but we still have some stuff to talk about. So Maya brings cookies. We have a toast to health, happiness, friends, and growth. And then screw the peanut gallery. So screw Twitter, even though I read everything on Twitter, and I might still post some just to show where we ended with the season.
Well, speaking of ending, I do have to say that, I mean, I posted not a lot of people posted yesterday at the end of the episode on Monday night, but Alex posted a picture of some of the group out to dinner, and basically the girl gang, I'll call them, was not present, or Kyle and Amanda.
No, I don't think they would be. It makes me sad because I think Maya was close with Danielle for a little bit, but I don't know where they stand now.
Yeah, it's tricky.
So that kind of makes me sad, but there's a lot of tension. I have a feeling. Can I give you my feeling?
I love your feelings.
Like
lay them out.
I feel like Paige might leave Summer House and go for Southern Charm.
See, I don't see it yet. Because she has said how much she loves living in New York and doing the long distance thing.
I don't know, there's a big part of me that thinks
I think she would maybe do one last season.
One part of the stage, I think, is not going to come back. What side that is, if it's Girl Gang or everyone else, I don't know. But I think there's gonna be people that don't come back next season.
Like this conflict is too hard to get over to like have.
Yeah, I think
last season, you know, Kyle and Lindsay and I think Carl all said to Hannah, like, this is a real friend group. Like, you actually have to be friends with us. So
I think I just don't know how old they're gonna be on Summer House, right? Like, is Lindsay and Carl, are they gonna want to go back and be sober in this house? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'd understand that. But there's a part of me that also sees Paige, Sierra, and Maya being like, maybe not Maya, but Paige and Sierra, maybe not Sierra, mainly Paige, being like, I don't need this. I'm successful now. Kind of leaving.
I predict one more season, if I'm honest.
With Paige?
Yeah. Or like, I think the majority of them will come back.
Listen, Someone tweeted and said, when are we going to get the old people off? Like, this was a show about people in their 20s working and drinking. And then someone else responded and said, that's fine, but let's have the show grow with like the viewership. So let's have people in their 30s going to work and drinking, but less and hungover. And I was like, I kind of feel it.
Well, it's interesting because we're having kind of somewhat similar problems, I'll say, with Vanderpump now that we're already seeing in Vanderpump, kind of encroaching into Summer House, where it's kind of unsustainable in both ways. You want to grow with the cast, but you also want them to do what the show originally was about. I think, in my opinion, I think COVID really threw a wrench into Summer House.
Mm-hmm. I think if we keep bringing in new people, right? Like keep adding new people that we can fall in love with, right? Because Andrea is now, I think, a staple. He can be around for a while if he wants to be. I would love to watch Andrea on my screen for years to come. Yep. But if like, so that means if Lindsay leaves, like, fine, I have Andrea to look at. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, let me love new people.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think the new people we're getting are really great. And I think if Alex comes back for another season, potentially he would be like a little bit more comfortable.
He's ready. He's ready to main play.
I want it. He is like quirky. We don't really have a personality like him, or like, I'm going to say the character of Alex, who's so into his fitness journey.
I want to see him get fat and then have to get fit again.
Like, I
want a journey.
I'm okay with having him as a character, but I need more from him.
Yes. Bring back Jason. Maya's a great addition.
Jason.
I don't think the two
Let's
girls
get
from
Lexi
Winter
on
House
the show. Let's get Lexi Andrea's girly.
Lexi could be great. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential. I do think we just need to add like more new people, specifically, I think girls, because I think the guys have been strong that they've added.
Agreed.
Especially Winterhouse. If we bring back Jason, that's 3 strong guys that have been added in 1 year.
Do you think any new people are going to be added to Winterhouse? The season they
God, I
filmed?
fucking hope so, because if not, it's all couples plus like Jason, I think.
I know. I need a little more, or at least them going out on the town and like meeting people.
My God, literally anyone. Literally bring literally anyone.
Jason,
I'm so
please
sick of these
have
couples.
a girl come home,
Jason,
and I need an arrow that says not Lindsay.
Jason, if you have Jason, if you have any guy friends, bring them. If you have girlfriends, bring them. Bring everyone. Anyone associated with Jason, I kind of trust.
Bring
Somehow, bring them. Okay, so then want to know why we had so much time at the end? Because the Southern Charm trailer
Sneak
dropped.
peek, yeah.
And I know, listen, I know we're not a Southern Charm podcast, but with all the crossover,
yeah, it bleeds together.
I feel like Meredith and I have talked. I've told her I think that our pre-show should become Southern Charm quick recaps of like 20 minutes.
The highlights.
God, I can't take notes.
Absolutely.
But I did take notes for the trailer. I think we should really quick talk about it.
Let's do it.
Also, if you haven't seen Southern Charm, watch it just for the theme song.
And to be honest, oh yeah, you're right. And to be honest, if you've never watched it, I had a friend start Southern Charm because she wanted to see Craig and Austin like in their truest form, I'll say.
It helps
you
a lot.
You don't have to go all the way back to the end. You could probably start when Austin comes on and get
Season
enough
3
of Craig and Austin to
Season
understand.
3. Because Craig's the same until maybe like season 5. So you'll get the gist. But the theme song is my favorite. I've shared this before, but I feel the need to share it again. My roommate made me watch Southern Charm in the pandemic. We watched it together. It was a Friday night activity. It was my favorite thing to do on Friday nights. We would order dinner.
Only thing for you to do on Friday nights.
Literally in a pandemic, nothing else to do. We were so excited though. We would order dinner and the theme song would play and I would sing it because it's so much fun to sing because it ends with and we would always do that together no matter where we were. I could be in the bathroom and she could be in her room and it would just be playing as we like prepared and we would both just go and it was so much fun to me. I love this theme song. So let me tell you about this trailer, Meredith. So we have Whitney. He's back playing his guitar. I love Whitney. Austin's back. Madison, Austin's ex, is engaged. Paige and Craig are talking on FaceTime and he almost says, I love you, bye. Austin's kissing someone and I don't know who it is because
he has a new girlfriend who is blonde. So I think he has a new girlfriend on the show, which is wild.
So it looks like Madison, but is not Madison.
She's blonde, and we only saw the back of her head.
Shep loves his girlfriend Taylor. Catherine is back with, I don't remember his name because he's never been on the show, but it's her boyfriend who's a Ravenel with 2 L's.
I remember it.
I don't know because I think, don't quote me, but they might not still be together.
They are not still together in my opinion.
She like took him off her Instagram, so I like don't know his name anymore.
Yeah.
But you know who's back? Naomi, Craig's ex.
I mean, epic.
If you don't know, Craig and Naomi were gonna get married. They were the love story of the century. They were
had a house together.
Had a house together, had the pillow business, and then they broke up and it was so bad. Shep maybe will have a kid and talks to that guy Pringle about it.
Okay, Pringle's not
Pringle
in the picture, so he must just be like a friend, like Danny was.
Yeah, Pringle wasn't a main guy. He was hot, but he wasn't like enough, I think, last season.
No, and to be honest, I don't really care about your bi-coastal kids who like come to see you once a year.
Don't care. We do get Vanita, who's new, and
I can't
black woman.
Wait, because I follow her on Instagram and she is amazing. Yes.
Listen, Vanita is the only black woman. She's not the only person of color because Leva is on the show. And like Catherine's boyfriend
and Mr. Ravenel, because we do not know his first name.
Catherine's boyfriend, Mr. Ravenel, but he's not a main player. But Vanita, I'm excited about. She gets into it with Naomi, which I'm not excited about. Naomi's French, right?
Yes.
Okay. Paige thinks Craig and Naomi hanging out is inappropriate, which I was like, this I'm excited for. I'm excited for this. But then we go into Naomi and Craig. We find out they hooked up recently. They're not just exes. And here's what happened. So Craig and Naomi broke up, and then Naomi started dating this really hot Indian doctor. I don't know why it's important for me to throw out that he's Indian, but he was very hot dude, hot doctor.
Yes.
But they were dating for a really long time. They dated on the show for a little bit. And then we found out he cheated on her.
Well, they moved to New York because his like residency, I believe, was in New York. So she was moving for him.
I can't wait to date him.
Came home to pack up the rest of the house and found out he was texting his ex.
Yes.
Illicit pictures.
He cheated on her. They broke up. She then comes back to Charleston.
She said on a podcast she had a big production to let her back.
Because she was on it season 7, but I think last season she wasn't. Season 8
she was not on it last season. Yeah,
because her boyfriend wasn't a big fan of the cameras. So now she's back, and I was questioning. I was like, are Craig and Naomi gonna hook up? I'm kind of I appreciate.
Okay, but what's
Craig
tricky is you know me with my timeline. All last summer 2021 is when Summer House films. Amanda and Kyle get married in September. I heard Southern Charm films all fall of 2021. So
I would think Craig and Naomi hooked up before
in the spring.
Cameras.
Okay.
No, I think in the summer. I think when him and Paige were talking, when they weren't exclusive. That's my theory. When they weren't exclusive, he hooked up with
That's
Naomi.
fucked up. That's not some random chick you picked up from a bar. Like that's your ex.
The love of the first love. It was his first love. I actually don't know his first love on camera, but it was his first love.
Oh my God.
So I'm pumped. Listen, I appreciate Craig and Paige. I'm rooting for them, but Naomi and Craig are like
epic.
That fucking vodka Red Bull I don't want to drink because it's from college, but I want it at the same time. Like I want it.
I love it.
And I don't think it's good for me. No. So Taylor, Shep's girlfriend, is a little jealous about something, and then Shep calls her a fucking idiot because Shep's the worst. Catherine's boyfriend thinks Catherine's the problem.
Whoa.
Probably. I don't know where he's been. Has he watched
I was about to say seasons? All the seasons we've had before. Have you watched those?
Hello.
Because if yes, then it's proven.
I mean, like Thomas was also the problem, but both of them.
Catherine's the problem in her friendship problems.
Yes. We have Leva. Catherine tells Naomi to shut the fuck up, which Craig / Austin Shep fight. I know it's Craig. I don't know if it was Shep or Austin.
I feel like it's Austin, but then
by the car.
Yeah.
Because it looked like Austin, but it sounded like Shep. So
I think Shep's behind I think Shep talks in that scene. I don't know. I almost watched it like 7 times because he's like, say sorry.
So Craig and Austin wrestle by a car.
I think it has to be Austin.
It has to be. That's the only person that would put Craig.
Do you think this is after
Winter? No,
when
it's
Winter House. No, when it's airing, and so like some shit's going down, like whenever he like said that stuff about Lindsay, maybe. Or like if like that type of drama seeps in either too, because
that's right. They're watching.
When Winter House was airing, they did their live stream and they were like, yeah, we're filming Southern Charm right now.
You're right. Oh, I don't know. Right. I can't wait to see. Of course, timeline. I'm right.
I actually said that in a meeting today.
I love you. That's great. So Shep and Austin then fight, which they always fight. And then Leva loses her mind because she doesn't know if it's birds of a feather or what the saying is.
Two birds with one feather. I
don't know. It's easy as the birds and the bees and the 1, 2, 3s. So we're excited. All right. So like I said, if you want to hear us talk about Southern Charm, you can join our Patreon for $1. If you don't, I totally understand. And we will never be doing a Southern Charm podcast. So we
might drop in a little like what happened at the start of the next Summer House season.
We'll give you ideas.
Somehow filters in. But if you want
Southern House, Winter House. But this is the end of our live show season that's happening. We will be doing Old Summer House. We're doing Old Vanderpump. We're going to do One Season Wonders. And once Winter House comes, I think that's the next show that's probably going to air. We will talk about it. So please join our Patreon. I feel like kind of sad that we're ending a live season, but
it's hard. But you know what?
I love you guys.
Cheers to a great season. Vote on our poll if you want a koozie.
Cheer. Oh my God, buy a koozie, everyone. Cheers. To the podcast. Woo!